You'd probably have to FOIA the police department for the incident and all that stuff. And they might have had a real driver license and they might have had real information for the person that was taken to the hospital, who then just used this other guy's information on a form. But like, someone had to think about it in advance, like had planned on using fake information.
Yeah. That's insane.
I wouldn't think of that for an ambulance ride. I could, you go to the dentist, I need a filling. Like, okay, I can plan in advance to use someone else's identity for that. But for an ambulance ride, maybe it was just after the fact when he started getting billed. He's like, I don't want to pay for it. I'll have someone else pay for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even like memorize someone else's info like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's like taking it to another level where like this guy
Yes.
must be doing it all the time to where, he gets into some situation and he gives a fake name and knows the address and everything. Like, that's like some, CIA rogue identity sort of stuff where you have to memorize an entire persona.
Yeah, I mean, Ian was thinking that it was maybe because he's fairly well known in the anti-fraud community, that it was someone effectively intentionally trying to mess with him and doing it for that reason, not necessarily because they were trying to skip out on paying for an ambulance ride.
Yeah, one of us got bored, That's what it is, right? Like I've had some of these hackers on and like they're a national security threat if they ever get bored.
Yes.
Like the government needs a task force just to make sure those people are not bored. you know?
I'd love to get a whole bunch of bored hackers and say, like, take down some of these, trafficking rings that are running scam call centers in East
Yeah.
Asia. Like, yeah, Kit Boga and those guys have done it, but like, let's get some NSA level guys going and like take out some of these scam organizations. Let's see how fast
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see that, and it's interesting that the hacker community doesn't have a bigger presence in terms of that because, I immediately think about like child exploitation, right? Where it's like there's no way that these criminal organizations that are doing that are so well secured that no
No,
one can get in. It's
no.
just no way. There's no way, right? Especially like how they're hosting it, all that stuff, right? And it's weird to me that the community hasn't formed, a group that all that they do is take that down in their free time. Like let's actively attack this thing. It's probably, I don't know. I can't think of more things that are like more evil
Yeah.
than child exploitation. Especially if
Just
you have kids and then you realize, it's like, hey, they are extremely vulnerable,
yeah.
like extremely malleable, It's like if we're going to protect anything, it's going to be the kids.
I would, hey, anonymous, hey, whatever group who.
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to go start something for it. Like, because it's like, I don't know. That's just like the easiest sell in my mind. Like, hey, we can all go get drunk together even. I'll pay for the alcohol. Like,
No one is going around defending the child exploit.
right. And if you are, it's a little sus. It's a little,
Yes,
a little questionable
that
there,
that becomes worrisome in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So you also wrote a book and I'm starting down this path as well, which I don't know, I'm probably going to regret doing it to be honest because like I'm getting my PhD right now and it's just like full on. In my light defense, I think I got past the hard part of my PhD and now I just have to actually do the technical work for a weekend and write about it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to spend more time on it than I than I estimate.
Probably. Privacy is just this. Okay, so if you look at the macro level, there's this argument of privacy versus security. Of if you're looking at it from like a governmental or a national security point of view, that if you want really good national security, people have to give up their privacy. And if you want to have really good privacy, then there's going to be international security risks. And all those are probably worthwhile conversations to have, but I think that's different than like your personal privacy and your personal security. Those things are not opposed to one another. If you are being more secure, you're probably also being more private. If you're being more private, you're also being more secure. Like these things are not. It's not like in your personal life you choose one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the book about and what's it titled and what made you want to go down that path of writing the book?
So the book is Privacy: How to Maintain Your Privacy Without Becoming a Hermit. Because like I think there's so many books out there that are like, hey, how to become invisible. Well, That's a miserable existence. Ask John McAfee. Well, I guess you can't anymore, but like they're either written from this perspective of it's an all or nothing. You either have to like disappear and, live in a cave somewhere, or, in conjunction with that, you need to be absolutely afraid and terrified of anything and everything. And that turns people away from just making practical decisions in their life. I think it started with a podcast talking about fraud and scam, and realizing like there's steps that we can take that are actionable, practical, that move us down the road. In the same way, from a security standpoint, if you don't have 2FA, I don't care what it is. If you don't have 2FA, enable something, anything, because it's better than nothing. And I think it's the same thing too for our privacy, is taking little steps that we can manage, that like, hey, I can do this, keep us from being low hanging fruit, keep us from reduce our data from being monetized, reduce what's about us on the internet. There's just simple steps that we can take.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. It's interesting that you approach it that way because I'm sure that that will be really helpful for like the elderly community, you know? I'm sure that they feel like they're completely, like out of the conversation, out of the realm of possibility of even staying protected. They're just kind of hoping, that it doesn't happen. Interesting example is, my wife, she went to Kohl's and they wanted to give her a Kohl's card, and she asked very specifically, "Is it a credit card?" And they were like, "No, it's not a credit card." So my wife put down the information, and the credit pull got blocked, and I got an alert on it, and I didn't care if she was gonna open up the credit card or whatever, but I immediately texted her. I was like, "Hey, did you intend to do this? Like, you want me to just unlock it real quick?" And she was like, "What? They told me it wasn't a credit card." I was like, "Oh, they committed fraud."
Yes, no, that would never happen.
Yeah. At like a huge chain, it was at Kohl's, right? Like, and she like asked very clearly, "Is it a credit card?" And they were like, "No, it's not." And she's like, "Okay, if you're gonna give me a discount, like I might as well, And sure enough, it shows up. I'm like, man, 'cause that's such a basic thing, to do, to just lock your credit. That so
That would
many
be no.
people don't even know to do.
Yeah, but that would be simple, base things. Lock your credit. Yeah, privacy stuff usually has an inconvenience. There's some, like if you
Yeah.
take privacy action, there is some friction that's going to happen, which is why those things need to be intentional. I'm going to lock my credit because I don't want people opening credit accounts in my name. I don't want this stuff going on. Yeah, it's actually probably good for us financially because we have to jump through hoops in order to open up a credit card to buy a car. We're going to be less impulsive. We're going to be more intentional about what we do if we do it that way. But you always have to think of, why is Kohl's offering, hey, we're going to give you a 10% discount? They're not doing it because they like you, because they just want to give you a discount. They know that if they give you a 10% discount, they're more going to make up for it in selling products to you. Like it's not altruistic on their part.
Yeah, and my wife, she wouldn't even think twice about it really because she's a early childhood special education teacher, right? So like, it's like she's not thinking, everyone's out to get her or
Yeah.
anything like that. I'm the paranoid one. Like I'm the one that's wondering what you're going to do with my social security number after I put it into this, either on this
Yeah.
piece of paper or, into your system or all that sort of stuff, right? So
Yeah. We're,
and
we're
like you
just,
said, it's inconvenient. It's not
yes.
supposed to be like super convenient.